What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Hermitcraft Feed the Beast. You like these? Yeah? Yeah? I picked them up at Target. They're nice. So what's up, guys? Take a look here. This is what this is our plan for today. Sorry, I flipped through F5 a couple too many times. So we wanted to get started with this building, and I brought up a couple episodes, and we haven't really gotten started on it. So I think today's the day, and I've gone through a couple preliminary ideas. This is the one I think I'm going to stick with. Again, we want to do a wizard spire. I was sort of inspired by the wizard spires from EverQuest, but kind of wanted to go with something with a centralized area. So we have like the spire, the I don't know what you call them, kind of claws or whatever they would be. Like the smaller spires leading up into the primary spire, which I think we're going to use for our power supply. Basically everything's going to run down to here, which fortunately, we have the dendrite conduits that can stack on top of each other, so it's going to be really beneficial. I'd like to keep all the power and everything, all the pretty much like whatever we're using for our power source at the top, which I think is going to be these combustion engines on top of some of these coal or Stirling generators. And you can look over here. Here's some of the spire ideas that came with me. They're obviously in cobblestone, so it's kind of clunky looking, but I want to stick with that. I think what we're going to start out with is we're going to build our platform first, and then we're going to go ahead and build up our center area, and then we'll come out and work on the exterior spires. But what's most important is getting this done, because I believe this is going to serve as our main gateway for all of our power supply. So I've got started out there. A couple things I've put together thus far. Got a builder's wand. It's not the really good one. It only does a 3x3 area, but it's better than nothing. Charged up the teleportation wand we had found, and I also upgraded this with some gliders, which is very, very nice. And then the dark helm I threw on one of the photovoltaic cores, I think is what it is. Photovoltaic cores, yes, one of those. And just the first one, just to get the, because I realized that this actually takes up a lot of energy when you're using all these. And I threw the pistons and the lily pads on the boots, which have helped out a lot. Alright, so that's what we got. We're going to start basically off cobblestone. I'm looking around. I like the way this netherrack looks. I really like the way our blood altar looks. That room. I'll take you over there. Don't even know why I walk anymore. I really like the way this room looks. I really like the base. I think this is what we're going to stick with. I want to utilize glowstone a lot. I really like the way this glowstone looks. And I really like these basalt pillars. So that's something I would like to utilize in this build. So let's go ahead and get on over there, and we're going to start putting together our base. But that's not a pun either. I mean, the base of the base. Okay, so we've got our base set up. We got it mapped out for the spacing and everything. Oh, we've got a block over here, and it is a. Let's do a count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So yeah, 17 by 17 square. And we obviously we go odd. We go odd to get ourselves a center point. So we got this so far, and this is just going to be the central area to the spire. Then the claws will, or I don't know, we'll call them the supporting spires. Will come in from out here, but it's going to be the central area. And it's not the walkway either. It's just like the primary central area. So let's yeah, let's do it there. I like So this should be plenty. And I think I'm going to use some dark quartz or fuse quartz or something, just so we can see all the circuitry running down the middle of this. And as for height-wise, I'm not sure how tall we want to go with it. I'm imagining pretty high. So I know the theme seems to be magic-based, but what I want this wizard's try to be is not. I'm not gonna say steampunk, but I want to say definitely technologically advanced. Sort of like a Shadowrun inspired. What I'd like to do is that the spire will have these 4 corners to it, and each corner will contain a specific entity that's essential to its living support, I guess. So in one corner, I would like to have Lexica Botania. The other corner will be our mob farming spawning area, and the other corner will be storage, and the other corner will be the blood altar area. And then here, the power is going to run down into the center point. And I think we're actually gonna go down further into the water area, and we'll do something there. But that's kind of the plan for now. I haven't really picked out which corner is gonna be what, but it's more so just a battle for real estate. So right now, what I want to do is start getting the central point, get going on it, because I think it's important that we get some power going, and we start building on that. Because if you can't get any of the power over here, if you can't get that figured out, then I really don't think you have anything. In that regards, though, I'm thinking maybe we switch to having some solar energy on there. At least, as a auxiliary power source. I don't know, just thoughts. Obviously, we'll have plenty of blaze rods, and if we can just get an immense amount of RF, I think the sky's the limit, quite literally. So I just grabbed some cobblestone real quick to speculate some height, and I think that's gonna be pretty good height for us. I kind of like that. It's not terribly tall, and I think if we go with some sort of spawner in any of these areas, we'll still be able to interact with it. So I think that's 35 blocks tall. But I think it's gonna be the height of our power unit. So our power is gonna be all stored up here, or it's not gonna be stored. It's gonna be generated up here. It's gonna be stored down in this area, which I think we're just gonna load that up with a bunch of capacitors. And that way we can carry our power out as needed. Anyway, we gotta figure out what do we want to use for stones, or we gotta use, what kind of blocks we want to use here. Obviously, there's netherrack, but we kind of use that quite a bit. I've been looking at basalt, and the problem is this wouldn't be an issue, but I have just so many options with the chisel. It's just not fair. But yeah, there's arrayed bricks, and which I really like. I also like there's Celtic. Where's that at? Oh, circular. Oh, let's take a look at that. I haven't seen that. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. But there's also, I really like the Celtic. I think that's zag, slanted, road, distorted, prism, twisted, pillar school, Celtic. I like these blocks. Obviously these ones do too, but these Celtics, they interact with one another, so they actually make a kind of a multi-block, if you will. So I really like these. I really like them. It's just gonna be hard to figure out which ones to go with. Oh, that's interesting. So the next step is kind of figuring out lighting for the area, for the situation that we are in. Granted, it's just the central point, so we want it as well lit as possible. And I'm just focusing on the central pylon right now. And I'm looking at this bismuth glowstone. I kind of like it, but I think there might be better options. So let's see what we got here. I like the big tile. It's really hard to get away from that bismuth. And what are these neon panels look interesting. I don't think so. I think we might have found it. Just for the bottom. and then we'll use some filler blocks all the way up. We'll stick with these pillars, these Celtic pillars, and maybe some netherrack. But I think that this is our base, guys. This is it. Those are the not redstone lamps, but the actually addition lamps. They require the Paris crystal, which you make from the little laser activator and some lapis. But yeah, let's just get a look at that from a distance. Yeah, I like it. I definitely like it. So here it is, guys. The first rendition of the center tower piece. Now I gotta say, I kind of like it. And it looks really good tonight. I mean, pretty simple, but for the most part, I like it. I do like it. It's got kind of an evil, Lovecraftian feel to it. And that's just from looking up at this portion. Obviously, we know what's going on down here, but from up top, it looks pretty nice. So here, let me show you what's going on here. On the lower level, we have these redstone lamps, or not redstone, but just red lamps. And then this is going to house all of our capacitors, and then everything else is going to. It's basically, I'm trying to keep everything automated, all the energy automation within inside this tower. And if we go up top, this bit's a little bit tricky, but I can normally pull it off. And so up top, there we go. Okay, so up top it's pretty simple, nothing too crazy. I went with hardened stone and some nether brick and some nether rack, and then just have some netherrack burning up here. Just some little spires, nothing crazy. And I just kind of went over the top of the lighting, molten lava cores or molten lava blocks, blaze lamps, and glowstone lamps. Chiseled them all up, look different, a little different. But yeah, that's it for the center structure. As for now, I would like to add a couple more things coming off it. Maybe a couple more like these spikes in different areas. Maybe like when we get to a different tier. I don't know, something different, something to add a little more to it, a little more spiky, a little more evil looking. All right, so this is what we have so far. This is going to be one of the spires coming off of our main tower, and I've actually come to the idea that we should actually use this central tower as something different other than a power supply. And I think that is going to be, we're going to utilize this as our blood altar, and we can build out there with our runestones. We can build out from there, and there might be a couple of them that are kind of concealed, which will take away from the aesthetic value. We already have a pretty cool looking tower, and I think we could set up some sort of mob spawner up here to actually help with rituals to fall into this area and actually add to our soul network, which I think would be extremely beneficial. Here's the rooms I've set up. I've been using a lot of the chisel I've been making with basically cobblestone, hardened stone, and marble, and some blaze, netherrack, a combination of a few things, but I'm trying to keep this sort of stronghold motif, if you will, using some of the blaze lamps, some lava. This is from the nether bricks. This is chiseled from nether brick. It's a lava blocks, and then we have the netherrack itself in the red netherrack form. Then outside we have a couple netherrack spots with some flamelit on and some marble. And I was concerned that the white pillars wouldn't look that well with it, but it's actually kind of grew on me, and I do like it. I do like it. To get you a view from the top. Oh. Gotta be careful because my boots might be running out pretty soon. So this is what we have from the top. Then maybe I can get a better view. And actually, I built this over here. I was trying to go for a sort of a snake Aztec looking fountain, but it turned out it's kind of more of an abstract look. So here's our spire, one of our spires. and this is kind of what it looks like. As you see, there's a couple netherrack spots that are set on fire. I'm trying to get that sort of, you know, wizard magic-esque look to it. And you can see the setup locations for the other 6 spires that'll be going in. And these are all allocated for certain things I would like to move on into the future with other areas. And so, as I said, I would like to put the blood altar. The blood altar go in the middle. And I think off to this first side, we are going to go with, I think I want to start Britannia. I think I want to start Britannia in here. And these other sections, if I think we have it. I'm not sure. It's is it Tange? No, it's not intangible. We do have Psycraft, which is good. I'd like to get into that. That looks pretty cool. I've never used Psycraft before. Psycraft, Britannia. Obviously, we'll be using the central location for the blood altar and our soul network, but we can also use the other areas for our health forge and everything. So that would be blood magic, Britannia, possibly Psycraft. Obviously, we'll need a power room. Now, this is just sort of the breakdown I want to do for our setup areas. So, and I think Ender IO is going to have not a designated room, I should say, but one is going to be an Ender IO farm, and maybe possibly 2 of them. And we'll have one of these set up as for sort of an automation of whatever we're using. And then I'd like to have underneath all of this kind of an underwater temple-ish area, underwater temple-ish base. Underneath all of it will be sort of our, I don't know whatever anybody else would call it. We'll have a series of our main power supply, our storage areas, and everything else. Originally, I had wanted to set up one of these as a storage area, but I think what's going to end up happening is that these are all going to end up being like sort of depots. I'm going to automate all the items out of these areas into the primary storage area, primary power supply. Basically, our main base is this area, and this is going to be kind of our item obtaining locations, I guess, if that makes sense. Kind of our adventure area, and then underneath this is going to be our actual base. So this is what the primary spire is going to look like. I'm going to do 2 more of these in these corners, and then I don't know what the other ones are going to look like. So I'm going to have this spire. In fact, I'll come up top just to so you guys can see everything. So let's see, where's that? So this spire is going to go in this corner, or this side, and this side, and then we'll have 4 open areas, which will either be smaller spires, or we'll just make them into rooms, maybe additional little temples. And I'm not sure exactly what the build I'm going to go for them. I'm going to try to make it as the other one's identical to this one, and then these ones will be kind of maybe standoffish or outside of the pattern. Haven't really decided yet. But I want to go ahead and get this built. And again, this is going to be my project for this episode, is get this entire area built up and have a nice base, so we have something nice to look at while we are crafting. Because as we all know, Feed the Beast is essentially somebody spending a lot of time at crafting tables going back and forth. Well guys, I'd be lying if I said they were perfect, but they are pretty close. Here we are. If anybody ever told you that building something to make an identical copy of it was easy, I'd like to meet them, because that was actually pretty difficult trying to get these perfect, or like trying to get them at least match relatively close. But I think we did an okay job, and so we have all of our 3 spires set up now. So yeah, there we go. We're looking good. We actually have a little base set up. I'm gonna start moving all of the blood altar stuff over here now. And so I actually took the time to build some baubles. Here, I'll show you what these are. So these are just charms that you can make, and there's a couple other ones I didn't do, but I made a drowning one, fire, speed, and antidote. Which antidote should be pretty nice. It's no poison and no wither. And I believe there's like certain elements you can use to recharge them. It's just basically whatever you made them with. So like, for example, the fire charm, you can recharge it with blaze rods. Alright, so got a pretty crowded inventory right now. Clear some of this stuff out. Down. And we'll start putting our runes together. And we have those 2 speed runes, so those will go in right here. And then runes himself at sacrifice. And then I'll go ahead and put this back on top. Alright, next thing is, okay, so we have to go 1 space and 1 down. Oh. Well, not a big fan of this, but gotta do what you gotta do. 1, 2, 3. Alright, and then we need to break, I'm just gonna break one of them for now. And this way we can see just exactly where we need to put our glowstone. So it should be 2 high here, I believe. So 1, 2. I guess if worse goes worse, we just gotta rebuild it. So 1, 2, and I wonder if it has to be the vanilla glowstone. I'll just go ahead and do it, just to be on the safe side. Okay, there's 1, 2, and 3. And this should be good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get the sigil back together so we can figure out if this is actually working as a tier 2 altar or not. Oh, and now my redstone has gone to my bag. Yeah, that one's always redstone first. Okay, and sigil. Alright, let's check it out. It is tier 2. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Alright. Go ahead and throw the magician's orb down there. Get all that into the soul network. Yeah, this will be blood magic over here. And like I said, this altar will stay here. I think I'm gonna add on to this, maybe add a couple more runes. And probably build these structures. These are gonna be simple. I think they're just gonna be like little yurts or little chambers. Nothing. They aren't gonna be like these spires at all. Maybe a little smaller or something. Maybe like a storage area. I'm not sure yet. And then our next step is obviously we gotta go underground and figure out how we're gonna get into that area. Little areas over here, and they're gonna be simple, nothing crazy. Back in a second. Well guys, this is where we started. This is our startup build. We had everything here, everything we needed, but we knew that it just was not going to be enough. And cosmetically, we don't want to stare at this every day, especially now. So, now, we have this. Welcome to the Spire. We finally finished it up today. I threw a couple snippets in there, what was going on. You know, there's a lot to this, and I'm not the best builder. You can probably see it in the craftsmanship of the quality here. But I tried to keep everything in unison and symmetrical as best I could, with the, a couple exceptions of some creativity added in there. Lighting was really important, and I wanted to keep kind of a dark motif, but at the same time maintain a sort of a stoic and balanced sort of feel to everything. So, I'll take a look over here, and I will give you guys the tour. So I added when we last left off, I added the little, I don't know, we'd call them like Turk huts or something. Basically, these are just gonna be little areas. We can set them up for storage. We can put different like multi-blocks in them. We can set them up as bedrooms. They're just kind of there for decoration for the most part. We can utilize them later. I think it's always important to have a little extra real estate and, not need it as compared to needing it, and instead of having to add on to the base. So we already have additions ready for when we decide to add more on or utilize more add mods. So we also have our 3 temples. We have our primary, blood magic temple. That's this one right here. I gotta add, or not add, but I gotta take everything in, put everything in here. We also have the blood altar. This is basically this is the primary spire, the citadel, and I'll be adding all the rituals onto this. And I think we can actually put this to a level of automation. This is currently a tier 2 altar. The second portion is buried under here, and we're gonna start adding on around it. I think there should be enough space, and it shouldn't interfere too much. Maybe even add cosmetically to our base's build if we add some more runes out of here. Then we have our 2 other temples. One of these we're going to use for Botania, and the other one we're going to use for Psi. That's kind of the idea right now. And I want to keep this area, this upper level area, to magic. Psi is kind of a little bit of both. Botania is strictly magic, and blood magic is obviously magic. And then, actually, I'll show you one of these real quick. These are pretty much what they all look like. The other ones up in front are one higher, but this is pretty much the layout. There's glowstone for lighting, and there's nether brick, or netherrack, and there's a lot of cobblestone, just using chisels and bits to kind of give it a unique look. And you'll see a lot of these laying around. These are the lighting sources from the pickaxe. And they get a little annoying. Use a lot of blaze lamps and glowstone, and different types of glowstone. Redstone lamps. These are not redstone lamps actually. These are red glass lamps, and they're actually, you can actually turn them on and off with an open hand. That is. Oh, okay, maybe not. There is some way you can do it. I can't remember how to do it off the top of my head right now, but yeah, so we use that, and we use a lot of molten blocks, and then we use the nether brick chisel and bits and turn it into lava bricks. And then we have some basalt. We use some of the basalt here too. I think that this is the twisted, and I think it looks super cool. I'm a big fan of the twisted basalt. But I had to keep running back and forth to the nether to get more, because we use a lot of basalt for the roast, and we use tiles for up there. Alright, and finally the pillars. We use some of the Greek style pillars, and I wanted to go for function as well as form. So these actually go all the way to the bottom of the lake or swamp. And then some more fitting cobblestone. I believe this is the circular, and this kind of outlays the perimeters of all the buildings. Alright, so we have all this. Now let's go to the mechanically more inclined area, I guess. And this will be, obviously we're going to add a lot more onto this, but this is the lower level underneath everything. And we're going to continue going on. We're going to build adjacent rooms to this, and this is basically going to be like our power area, our storage, pretty much everything else that isn't magic related. It's going to go down here. I haven't really figured out how I want to do the layout, but in terms of the look, we're going to stick with the alabaster, marble, andesite, and netherrack. The red netherrack, that is. And this is some nether brick staircases, which is pretty cool. And then I smelted down some sand to make glass, and then put that glass into the alloy smelter, and then we got this nice clear glass, which is really, really nice looking. There are some lines here that I'm not a big fan of, but that's kind of what we have to work with. So yeah, that's the base, guys. I think it turned out pretty well, and we can continue adding on to it. I think the upper level's finished, aside from adding the rituals to the blood altar. This lower level, though, we are going to add on quite a significant amount, and this is where all the automation is going to happen. This is where all our machines are going to go, and we're going to build separate rooms for each of them if need be. Some of the other mods I'd like to get into to add on to this area is Deep Resonance from the RF tools. I think there's reactors in here. Maybe not. Oh yeah, we have reactors in here. So we'll get into reactors as well. And there's so many more. There's so many more mods and add-ons that I want to get into that we're going to start throwing in down here. So what's going to come next step is getting everything moved over here, but I'm going to do that after this episode, and you should come back. We should see everything down here that's needed, and we'll have I think I'm going to set up a power room, which I might throw some snippets in there at the end of this episode, at the beginning of the next one, just so you guys can see what exactly went into it, what it entailed. But anyway, that's it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to everybody else later. Bye-bye.